is indeed speaking. So the Professor Xiaoqing will give a talk. So she comes from the first China University yeah. So he's a very famous professor in China in the medical technology, and she published many good journals. Yeah. So actually, she has to go back today, and I would like to close the session a bit earlier. Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to get this this talk. Yes, this talk. I was also involved in this community and chair of this SIG, so I'm quite familiar with the topic in this community. So my talk today is closely related to mobile and one-to-one class, and I have this title of learning analytics to inform the learning design of one-to-one class. And I'm going to introduce the studies my team have been doing in the past around 10 years, and the topic will be combined with two subtopics. One is learning design for the one-to-one class. In Chinese context, we use the term of e-Schoolbag for the one-to-one class. And the second subtopic is to use technology of learning analytics to inform the learning design within the one-to-one class. Firstly, I'm trying to introduce what we have been doing within the one-to-one class. As I mentioned, that one-to-one class in Chinese context was being termed as e-Schoolbag. Basically, what we have been doing is to design the learning environment for the one-to-one class. The research studies have been covered, including the design of the learning environment, which means platform here. We need to have a platform to run the one-to-one class in Chinese school context. And the second is to design and adopt applications that can be used in the one-to-one class or e-Schoolbag. And third one is to design learning models that are appropriate for one-to-one class. So my team have been doing all these studies, but I'm going to focus on what we've been doing for the learning design, which means design learning models that are appropriate for one-to-one class. So what we have been doing is to design e-textbook applications, adopt e-textbook within e-Schoolbag, and design, develop, and adopt applications like the applications here, and also the main focus of the studies we are doing is learning design. We are closely related to the K-12 school adoption of e-Schoolbag, and the focus here and focus of my group is working with K-12 schools is much different from what we have heard from Kino from Professor Yang's studies, mainly focused on college students, but we are focused on K-12 schools. So the very important difference is that in context of K-12 schools, the teacher's role is much more crucial than that in the college studies. So the hypothesis or our approach is to try to as much as to have teachers to adopt the e-Schoolbag technologies. And our approach supposes that if the teachers, the practitioners, the school teachers understand there is continuity between the established practice and the innovations with e-Schoolbag, then adoption is more likely. So this is our hypothesis, and I'm going to show you two cases that we struggled to make link between the established practice of schools with the innovation of one-to-one class. The first case is trying to find the voice of teachers, because in traditional Chinese context of K-12 school teaching, teachers rely heavily on textbook, and the emerging e-textbook within e-Schoolbag might have some implications for teachers how to make this continuity or link between their established practice and the innovation of one-to-one class. And this is for teachers' point of view, and for another established practice in Chinese context of K-12 school is that students have this kind of established performance activity during the class. I'm going to elaborate this later. So the first case is to use a pedagogically sound methodology in shaping the e-textbook to accommodate the contextual learning needs of the classroom. So as I mentioned, that textbook has a very central role of the class. Basically, teachers use textbook as a guideline to design their classroom teachings. So the most significant features of this textbook is that there has this kind of pedagogical sequence defined within the textbook. So basically, teachers can use textbook to carry out their classroom teaching. Of course, teachers will do their own customized design before they go into their classroom. So a e-textbook can have these possibilities to afford more flexibility for teachers to redefine their lesson plans within the e-textbook. So in this study, we tried a case study. The research question is that including these two, can pedagogical-driven design method provide effective and contextualized learning opportunities, and to what extent this pedagogical flexibility will affect teachers to adapt to a redesigned pedagogy that is more adapted to the tradition of textbook. So we use a unit of science in elementary school. The title of the unit is Endangered and Extinct Wildlife, and as a teacher and his class were invited to take the role of designer in transforming the e-textbook content to best fit the content of his class. There are 4 sessions included in this unit, and the instructor takes a main role in determining the design of the unit, but took part in discussion with our research team, because we are provider of the e-textbook, and we are cooperating with the teacher to redesign, use this e-textbook to redesign the unit to better fit the teacher's intention of how to adapt his class. So the digital version of the text have the features of thicker background, the formats of multimedia formats of learning content, and links to outside resources, and students can have more rich interactions with the content, with the text content. So the e-textbook for designer to counter a topic sequence and to install learning objects by copy, cut, paste, and so on, and delete or edit or this kind of editing affordance. So the teachers, this is this is the tool that teachers can use to redesign. The previous is not in the previous screen is not for this. I just use this screen to show you the authoring tool that teachers can use to redesign this e-textbook. And we, as a case study, we used mainly use the student feedback and the teachers' interview questionnaire to collect their perceptions and the result of these case studies. And as you can see that this is a case study, so only one class was involved, and this class is a typical 1-to-1 class, and this study was conducted around 2012. It's very early age of our studies on e-textbook, and basically the teacher's reflection on the flexibility of the e-textbook redesign and the affordance of the e-textbook is pretty good, and as the interview showed that design and lesson plan was part of their daily work, although they can use a pedagogical predefined textbook, but as a teacher, their daily job is to use textbook to redesign or customize their lesson plans before they go into the class. So it's daily job, but compared to traditionally printed textbook, the e-textbook provided them with more flexibility to redesign the lessons according to their understanding or according to the needs of the class. So the predefined pedagogical models and learning objectives that they can be adopted to use into their lesson plans is very helpful for their to design their lesson plans. But as our tour only provided very limited pedagogical models, so the teachers felt that they will be more helpful if there are richer pedagogical models provided within the system or within the e-textbook. And from a student perception, of course, this is very is a novelty for students when they use e-Schoolbag. So as you can see that students are very excited and they show positive attitudes, and the e-textbook provided them the much richer experience to engage with interactions with the content with their peers, and so their experience were much positive to this experience. And this is only a small case. Early days of our studies in teachers design, we trying to involve teachers in design within e-Schoolbag project or one-to-one class, and we try to make link make link between their established experience with the novelty, with the technology affordance of one-to-one class. And the second case is also based on our hypothesis that we need to build innovation based upon the established practice of traditional Chinese classroom. So another established classroom practice is that there are well-established, well-acknowledged established practice that in Chinese K-12 classroom, especially in elementary stage of the classrooms, there are variants of students in engagement of the class. We term this engagement is present through voice. Teachers have been trying to invite students to stand up or come forward to performance as a kind of students' engagement into the classroom activities. So we suppose that this also could be a very important established practice that we can use to create a useful continuity with new technology. So in this case, we focused on a Chinese language study class, and we adopted a learning app. We adopted an app. Originally this app was not a learning app, but we adopted this app trying to produce this kind of continuality. The research question in this case study is we trying to figure out to what extent does the adopted social app can afford and extend the participatory performance in the classroom, and how is this kind of extended class performance manifested in students' language confidence. Because for elementary school, students from very early age need to learn Chinese as a mandatory class. So the research design and participant and process are illustrated in this slide. The social app was to employ to create novel pedagogical design, support language learning, and this novel pedagogical design was based on solid established performance, student performance. And first grade elementary school student, they just start learning Chinese, participate in this class. It's also a very typical one-to-one class. And in the design of the design of this study is that for these kids, every day after school, they were asked to take photos, anything they were interested from their personal context, way back to home or at home or on the campus, and upload these photos onto social app and to construct spoken sentences with their own understanding of the expression idioms learned in Chinese class. And the second task is that once every couple of days, they will assign reading materials. Remember, they just start learning Chinese. They will assign reading materials in the form of photos and were required to practice their reading, follow this reading, and also to make their own sentences through describing the photos. And the third task is that both teachers and students were invited to communicate with each other by commenting, sharing, liking, and anything that you're all familiar with the social apps. So this is the screen of the social app, and the data were collected for a couple of one and half years. We collected data in this app, and we use both qualitative and quantitative data to analyze the results. Like we, at the end of the semester, we use a content analysis to analyze quality of students' language learning results. And we also count the numbers of students like or act. And we also count the numbers of posts per month. And we analyze the levels of interactions of students and the teachers and the students. And we use a instrument to measure the quality of students' language competence, and the results are reported here that compare to the traditional classroom where students can only have very limited opportunities to use the language they learn in the class. They have much more opportunities to practice the language, the word, the phrases, the idioms, and they can practice this language within their anything they interest in their daily lives. So I'm not going the details of the report, but basically the result is compared to traditional class, the adoption of social app in this one-to-one class is have provided richer experience, and the result is very positive in general, and of course the interaction between students and teachers and students are much richer, and students experience much richer experience to use language to interact with their teachers and their peers. And the language confidence, we analyze the language confidence. I'm not going through the details of the result, but you can see the results show that average scores are getting high, and the students' language, basically the students' language confidence is getting better, and their language competence are getting improved. So the discussion for these two cases based on the well-established practice of Chinese K-12 class to innovatively design one-to-one class show that one-to-one class allows every student to have their own learning device. Of course, this is very, very basic, and it has motivated development in education apps, and it motivated adoption of apps within education, within the one-to-one class, and the adoption of the apps has increased the possibilities of the flexible designs for learning, and the potential of pervasive digital access, as I showed with two cases, should build upon established cultural context and educational context on a class where a teacher-led teacher-led pedagogical designed class activity, as well as students' performance tradition are strongly established. And also I have listed some discussions, but due to time limit, I'm not going through all these details. But last one, the scaling up remains a problem, as you show that the two use cases only reveal the studies or case studies in one-to-one class. These studies are very early in around 2012 and 2013 at that time of time, but the scaling up of one-to-one class, as well as the scaling up of adoption of innovation in the education context, in the K-12 education context, still remains a challenge. So, so this brings the second topic of my talk. I use Smart Learning Initiative as as the title of this part, basically we try to use data intelligence to inform teachers and learners how to better adapt to learning needs, how to better adapt their students' needs to redesign or to design the one-to-one class. In Chinese e-education, the smart learning initiative is very important a national initiative to use data to use one-to-one class or kind of new technologies to innovate the basic education. And in Chinese context, we use 智慧, and in English might be smart education. What my research team have been doing is right here. We trying to adopt this data intelligence in another term, learning analytics. Just as Professor Yang's talk have revealed us, we can use learning analytics to predict, to intervene, to improve students' learning. The difference is still that what he's doing is in college, and with my team is for K-12 schools. So still there are differences that we not only focus on students' learning, but also focus on teachers' teaching behaviors. As I listed here, different from mainstream of learning analytics, we are focusing on K-12 schools. The many a big difference from college students and K-12 students learning in terms of learning analytics is that we do not have MOOCs or any other learning platform that can attract students' learning behaviors along the way, because mostly we are basically most of the learning activities are face-to-face. There are no much digital input left behind the systems. So we try to use some applications to record students' classroom behavior. This is one of our studies that we try to develop a classroom behavior management system to record students' behaviors. And we, in this study, we have this round. The first round is trying to find key indicators of students' behavior in classrooms. And as you can see from this, we recorded. This is the screen of the systems, and we can see the overall characteristic of students' usage of indicators, and the pupils that need more attention from teachers, pupils with less attention, and so on and so forth. And we can visualize the classroom behaviors of pupils. And I do not have much time to go details, but I can show you a study that trying to figure out the effect of these classroom behavior management systems. And the original intention of our adoption of this system is to accumulate as much as students' behavior that we can do learning analytics to inform the learning design. But still, this study shows some effect of some results that show the study show the results of these systems. I'm not going through the discussion, as you know that the time is very limited. And also the second studies, the intention of this study is that we do not have learning management system to accumulate students' learning behavior. So we trying to use an app to collect students' homework behavior and trying to analyze students' behavior in doing their homeworks and how their out of school behaviors related to their learning performance. And we have some learning results, and we also have some learning findings. But these are two small cases that we are trying to accumulate students' behaviors on classroom, out of classroom, to as a method to trying to accumulate the data that we need to do learning analytics. And we have much more than these two cases, but I'm not going that direction further, but trying to switch gear to teaching analytics. As I said in the previous section, that teachers' role is very crucial in K-12 studies. So we try to also analyze teachers' behavior to better understanding how we can use the learning analytic technologies to inform learning design. So I only have 4 minutes, so I'm going to through this very quickly. Firstly, we use this. We try to understand hidden use patterns with trace behavior from e-Schoolbag systems. And the research question is that how can we understand teachers' behavior from their interactions with this e-learning system is actually e-Schoolbag system. And I'm going to skip. And the technique we use in this study is very much like the Professor Yang just mentioned, that we have these different patterns of teachers' behavior. We have analyzed different patterns, like the picture here, like the pattern of limited use and the rich use, and between limited and rich there are in between patterns. And I'm going through all this, and these different patterns show that there are different group of teachers that in different stages of adoption of ICT innovation, and we trying to understand how can make teacher from one stage to the other that we expected them to be. So we have further studies, and here is another analysis. We trying to understand teachers' underlying hidden values and beliefs from analyze their comment on students. So I only have 1 minute left, so I'm going to skip this detail of the study. And the third one is that we try to extend our understanding of the teachers' technology adoption by investigating the dynamics of their adoption process. the technology we used is hidden, is a non-homogeneous hidden macro models, and we have the findings. As you can see that this is a publication, and the details can be found in these publications. We can we have the different state of the individual adoption. We have the estimated impact of how the teachers' adoption have been influenced by the factors in schools and so on, and we can evaluate how different extra factors have long-term impact on teachers' ICT adoption, as this picture shows. So the result of the behavior analysis is listed in this slide, and I think my time is up, so I'm not going into the details, but this is our currently we are doing, because classroom teaching is there are much more rich factors influence teachers' innovation and the students' learning. So we are trying to put the results of learning analytics into the classroom context to better understanding what the results of the learning analytics actually have information for our learning design. Okay, thank you for your time.
So actually, Professor Wu have to take a bus on time, so we only have 4 minutes question. So we have question and comment.
This is regarding the first part of your talk, the question. When you're talking about using a social app named PAPA for kids, the participants' age was 6 years to 7 years, right?
That was great, yes.
Right. So, have you thought of or have you done studies about the implications of children of 6 to 7 years using those apps for such a long time? These are social media apps, right? Maybe emotionally, physically. And the second question is that you showed your language confidence results, that they were able to increase their confidence using the app. Were some traditional assignments, tasks given to which these results were compared, like reading, creative writing, as control?
Thank you for your questions. Very important issue in your first question. As a matter of fact, that social app is is a customized app that can only be used within a group of people. It's not as social as we understand the social app is, so the students can use this social app with their peers, with their teachers, with their parents. So in this limited context, they can be protected from any potential damage of the use of social app. And we used it for a period of time. And I understand what's your concern. This is also our concern. So we do not further use this app, this particular app, as a must-be app in our e-Schoolbag. And I think it's very important to do further research on the questions you just raised, but because of the time limit, we do not go that direction. In terms of your SIP questions, I will acknowledge the limit of this case study. We do not do the experiment comparison between traditional and experiment results. But from our experience as a traditional learning results, we can show that there are positive results, but it's not very, it's not a published journal article, and it's only show the studies we have done. So this is the limit of that stuff. Thank you for your question.
So I want to thank the Professor Gu, and if you have questions, please email to him or to she or okay. Okay. So thank you very much. Session. Thank you very much, and thank you. I would like to close the session. Thank you.